Welcome to chapter 31. This is the first of the 7th block of chapters in this course. And this block of chapters will content-wise pertain to Maori cultural life. And as regards introduced grammar, the focal point in this block of chapters will be derivation. We will be seeing a lot of old friends in the process. We have already met a whole lot of derivational suffixes, but we're going to be looking at derivation in a systematic fashion now. So what have we got in the grammar box? The first two sections in this chapter pertain to demonstrative pronouns, and Maori has a distinction in its demonstrative system that you will know from English. That is, if we are this person here on the left, the speaker, there's a flower here and there's a flower there, we might be referring to this or that. We might be referring to this flower or that flower. So we might be using a stem referring to something that is close to you or something that is far away from you. We have both short and long forms here. There can be titapeledish or tilpeledish, both is fine, tutapeledish or tupeledish. These short forms can only be used in combination with a noun. What we've got here is a distinction between so-called proximal forms and distal forms. Proximal forms are close to the speaker, distal forms are far from the speaker. It's this and that. But much like in English, you don't just have a proximal distal distinction in the demonstrative pronoun. We've also got it in a bunch of adverbial forms like here or there, tishta tushto in Maori. And in Maori, they are like these adverbial forms are derived from the pronominal stems in a fairly transparent fashion. Here we still add to the mixed interrogative forms that you would use to ask for which one. It's kudo. Kudo is which one, and kudopeledish is which flower. One thing you have to be careful of in Maori is if we're looking at the plural, we've got nina for these and nuno for those. And if we say these flowers, we say nina peledish blak. And now you might be expecting something which you're not going to get, because the plural form here is tudopeledish blak. We use the singular forms here. So the language is not obliged to match our expectations and be perfectly systematic. Here you see an overview of all the different proximal and distal forms with the corresponding interrogative forms. Yeah, not much more I can say to this beyond what you see here. The system, it's not always perfect. Like for kunam when, there's just tunam then. We don't have two forms for proximal and distal then, as we don't in English either. But yeah. So as regards word formation, in this chapter, there's just a meta overview before the following chapters go into the nitty-gritty. We go from kutu, the hor, to kutuche. We've got derivation. Then in later chapters, we're also going to be looking at processes like turning shem black into shep shem, or shema black into shep shema, which is reduplication, in this case, partial reduplication. If we take peche, a noun meaning fence, and turn it into pechash, a verb with the verbal stem peche, to fence in. This is conversion. We're taking a nominal stem and we're using it as a verbal stem without attaching anything to it. Yeah, and if we have kava, sky, tur, edge, we stick them together and turn it into kavadur, horizon. We've got composition. These reduplication, conversion, composition, those will be covered in the last block of exercise of chapters in this course, whereas derivation we're going to be looking at in this block of chapters, and we're going to be looking at it based on part of speech. First, we're going to be looking at nominal, adjective, or verbal derivation. Point we have in this chapter are compound postpositions, which are postpositions that consist of, in Medo-Maori, dech, from, and another element that is follows it. Like vara, and basically an adverb meaning then, dech vara, from then, literally means after. Dech goch means more than, etc. And some of these are very important, essential vocabulary, like dech pusna, without. It's like from that separate. Yeah. One thing we have to keep in mind, though, is that even though we treat these as units as a whole, if we attach a possessive suffix to a compound postposition, we generally attach it to the det form. And I say generally because there are some differences between individual persons. Like, let's look at what happens if we attach det posna without to the personal pronouns in all persons. Without me is my de chem posna. Without you is tu de chet posna. In the third person, we have tuden dech posna, no possessive suffix attached to the to dech or attached anywhere in the compound. But here we have the genitive form rather than the nominative form that we had here. Don't ask me why. And yeah, this is what we then have in the three forms that follow: genitive and no possessive suffix. And this is just irregularity that you have to learn. As regards word and words usages in this chapter, what have we got? We have some auxiliary constructions again, where we're looking at some modifiers. We see kayash, to go, in its basic lexical meaning, when it's used as an auxiliary, it can be used to denote that something is punctual, inquisitive, also like starting, like if we have, or like anush, turning red with kaya, like Yoshka again kaya, it means that she blushes, like she turns red in a moment. It can also, can mark the complete list, like in Yulen Kayen, burning, going, burning to the ground. Yeah. It can also be used as a directional modifier. If I attach it with verbs of motion, it just means away. Chongesten kayash means like flying go, means to fly away. Nushken kayash, crawling go, means to crawl away. Ian kayash, swimming go, it means to swim away. We have koshtash, to go, which ironically, it seems like a near synonym in its lexical meaning to kayash, but in auxiliary constructions, it means the exact opposite. How can this be that we have near synonyms and in auxiliary constructions, they're near opposites? Well, kayash and koshtash, they differ in their secondary meanings, and in these auxiliary constructions, the modifier uses its core lexical meaning. It loses the core lexical meaning and just transfers the secondary aspects of meaning to the modified verb. So if kayash and koshtash differ only in the secondary meaning, then if the primary lexical meaning is lost in these auxiliary constructions, it becomes less shocking that they're complete opposites. So while kayash is directional going from A to Z, koshtash was non-directional going, walking around, etc., going somewhere, coming back again. And when we use it in auxiliary constructions, that is very much the meaning that we are indicating. It means that something is long lasting, maybe lacks direction, back and going around. Like if we have visits, but we're not declaring a clear goal of them, or like thinking around. It's like you can imagine yourself wandering in circles, pondering something over. Then we have got shuktash, to carry out, to fulfill. This is fairly straightforward. When we use it in auxiliary constructions, it just means managing to do something, being successful in the execution of something, like not managing to live 34 years, or managing only to live 34 years, sorry, or not managing to write something, or not managing to buy something. Of course, it could also be used in positive examples. Just we seem to have ones here from showing things going less well in life. So the next point that we have in this grammar are locutionary verbs, verbs of saying, where we have met a whole bunch. We have met oilash, kalasash, manash, kalaskalash, kutarash, mutlanash, peleshtash. And what we're doing now is that we're looking at them systematically. In which situations can they be used? Can I use a locutionary verb to say speaking a language or so? Can it have an accusative object? Can I use it with quotations with manen, which was like he said that, etc. Can I use it with about? He was talking about his life. Can I use it with? He was talking with a friend. And can I use it just with a subject? Oh, your baby can talk already. And as you can see, as you can maybe sense, even in these distinctions, we have them in English too, that not all verbs of saying can be used in all of these situations. Like if you think to yourself, what's the difference between say, speak, talk, etc. Well, I can speak English, but I cannot say English. I can say something, but I can't talk something. Well, maybe in some situations. Well, in any case, we are now just going to have an overview where we are for each of these verbs, and I'm not going to go into detail now on this recording. You can pause it and look at the details. We're going to see what works. So Eulash is basically the Swiss Army knife of locutionary verbs. It's the one you can use in any of these situations. If you don't know yourself which ones to use, go for Eulash. Kalasaj, to say, to tell, is especially used if you are saying something concrete. So it likes to have an accusative object, say a word, or it likes to have a quotation with manen serving as that. He said that he would do it. Manash, to say, to call, this we like to have especially with quotations or so. Note that it is not used together with manen, because manen manash would be a bit silly. It's kind of it becomes superfluous there. So that this is the one where we don't use manen to mark the quotation. So like open your mouth and say ah, dairy. This is a good case for manash. With accusative objects, it should be noted that it then has a different meaning. It means to be like to call somebody something, like they are called Eastern Maoris in this example. So kalash is talking, like also it can be about a topic. He is talking about Maori literature or whatnot. Kutarash, to talk, to speak. This is used especially like when you say that you speak a language, I speak Maori or whatnot. But it can also be speaking about something, with something, or for a long time. So it can also, it does not have to have an object or so. Mutlanash, to talk, to speak, to discuss. This one is also fairly, has a fairly wide range, pretty comparable to Kutarash. Whereas Peleshtash, to state, is generally used in combination with short statements and as such, like a few words that you say. So here you have an overview what goes where. So another thing that we are looking at in this chapter is we're having a quick look at miscellaneous necessitive constructions. These are in addition to all the properly grammaticalized necessitive constructions we have encountered in chapters gone by. There are a bunch of verbs like verestash, which is like to get somewhere, logalesh, to get caught somewhere, to go into some, or so pernash, to hit, like to strike against something, vozash, to fall, tuknash, so to hit against something. These verbs are all used in sort of necessive constructions that are more, it's more to indicate that something falls to your lot to do something. Like the elevator isn't working, you'll have to take the stairs up. You have to take the stairs not because it is you are ethically opposed to elevators, you feel your moral obligation. There's neither an external nor an internal obligation of the sense. It just, life is hard and this happens, so now you have to do that. It fell to your lot to do that. Like if you speak Russian, this is sort of similar, like "nie prišlos" in Russian. It would also be used in such constructions. Yeah, quick note, no tash, to rise, no tash, to raise. An intransitive and a transitive verb, the infinitives are the same, but the intransitive one, as is often the case, is first conjugation, and the transitive one is second conjugation. Try not to get them mixed up. The text in this chapter pertains to an especially important figure in Maori literature, and also in not just Maori, but Soviet cinematography, Ivan Kirya, who appears in an early, so in the first Russian talkie, so non-silent movie. If you want to learn more about him, read the text. And that is it already. We then have a little clip pertaining to Ivan Kirlia from the Maury Evening News, and here with a transcription of this text. And here you see a picture that I took in Yoshkar-Ola some years ago, a statue of Ivan Kirlia right at the Yoshkar-Ola railway station. So that's it for chapter 31. See you in chapter 32.